Welcome back, everyone. Well, being bombarded with a million marketing messages every day means that brands now have to fight to grab their customers' attention. So, in an attempt to break through the clutter, brands make use of gamification in their marketing messages as a way of engaging consumers in unforgettable interactive experiences. Gamification not only drives the adoption, engagement, sharing, and sales of a company, but it also helps bridge an emotional connection between the consumer and the brand. Let's talk about the how of it. So, we have some more incredible panelists here today, the who's who of the online community space. And to facilitate this session, we have our in-house community wizard, John Summers. John has over 10 years of experience in the community space with a background rooted in leading cutting-edge business transformation initiatives in sales, marketing, support, social media, and online communities, of course. He harnesses his expertise to develop and implement key strategies to assist organizations to enhance efficiency, their effectiveness, and the growth of communities. He's also known around the industry as a collaborative communicator and a thought leader in the community space. So here's John with our next panel discussion, gamification as a marketing super tool. Take it away, John.
Hey, thanks so much for having it today. Communities are on the rise. People are talking a lot about it. So I'm really excited to talk about gamification. It's something that I have a long history with because I got my start in the gaming industry. But we have a few other panelists. Do we want to bring them up, or how is that going to work? And we can get into talking about gamification and how we've really started to leverage it for a lot of ways, right? So whether it's transparency, goal setting, improving learning and training, the use cases are great. And with me today, I have Karina and I have Lauren. I don't know, you guys, I hope you guys also been having a good conference. I know we just had a great conversation waiting for this to get started. So we're hopefully pretty warmed up here and we can try to not talk about gamification too much, but it's hard not to. I think it's a fun topic, but I also think it's a very impactful tool that is underutilized within the marketer's tool belt. Right? You as a marketer, you have a lot of things in there. Community is one of those other things that are kind of underutilized as well too, right? You're seeing more and more marketers saying we need to be using community, having a community first or community-led marketing approach. And this is a concept that's growing even more so during this pandemic. It's just reinforced that. So we're here today and we're going to talk about gamification, what that means and how we're using it, how we've been using it, and then hopefully give you a little bit of ideas on how you guys as marketeers out there can use gamification and community in your plan. You know, if it's not there now, like come talk to one of us after this and we'll help you get it in your plan because it is a critical piece. You know, some of the things, numbers are out there saying 50% increase in likes and shares and 70% increase in online user usage with the adding in of gamification systems. Also, you know, if you're using it for trainings, people reported something like 50% reduction in average number of days, you know, to train, because now they're getting these points. Everybody thinks of Salesforce and their community and it's a great use of gamification and it really is effective. So let's get this started a little bit. We got a little bit of time. We got 20 minutes. It'll go quick. So let's dive right in there. And Karina, thank you so much for joining us. And I'd really like to hear, what was your first experience with gamification? How are you introduced to the concept?
Hi everyone, first, and thank you, John, for the panel and for the question. So for me, gamification, I think I'm in community for more than 10 years, and each time it was about gamification, playing, so a mix of each. But the moment when I started to put it more together, it was when I started to build the community strategy. So gamification is a pillar in developing a community strategy, a robust one. and also when developing different programs. And the most complex one, where gamification had to be an important piece, was when developing the advocacy program. So that was when I started to explore more, learn more, and see what works for the community that I was building back then. So that's how I started, and I saw so many connections between gamification, building communities, and also marketing practices out of it.
Yeah, the advocacy piece of community and gamification is undeniable one of the most impactful things that you can harness from your user base, right? Essentially, right, is that. So Lauren, hey, thanks for joining us. So what was your first introduction to gamification, if you everybody would say?
Yeah, so similarly to what both of y'all have said, I think the use of community or gamification through community is huge, and that's the future and where we're all headed. And I think the most notable aspect of gamification in my career was coming to Power to Fly. And we are a job platform, a community for underrepresented talent to come and apply to jobs at some of our partner and client companies. So profile completion is huge for us. And as you mentioned, John, a lot of the data shows that people with complete profiles, they're more active. From our end, from like the B2B side, clients are more interested in these talent who have obviously worked on completing their profiles. So when I came here, that was kind of our first step into gamification. How do we get community members to complete their profiles in a way that's similar to what they've done on LinkedIn, but in a way that makes them stand out on a platform like Power to Fly. So there are a lot of challenges that come with that. And then that's grown throughout my last 4 years here to the launch of our new community as of this last month. So lots of exciting stuff going on here.
Yeah, the onboarding and mastery of content is a huge benefit for the gamification. I think that everybody can leverage, right? That profile completion thing, it's real. What you're saying about people that don't have an incomplete profile are very less likely to engage and less likely to be repeat logins. And we've seen many customization or custom invitations on profile completion bar. Like you said, LinkedIn. If you're out there, you're looking for ideas. Look at some of the biggest. I know myself in my career going on 18 years now. Like I'm always looking at what social media companies are doing with their sites because they have a whole entire team looking at UX and usability, right? That's their job, is usability, right? And so look at what they're doing, how they're approaching things, and how they're getting people to complete the profile and having that pop up and be there until you complete the profile on LinkedIn. It's very front and center that you have not completed your profile, and it's kind of annoying until you get it done. But if you do get them to do that, it is great. So gamification marketing, I think those are two things. I think community was like, okay, we're doing gamification for support or something. Gamification marketing, what is that, Lauren? What does that mean to you, and how maybe a marketing organization can think about beyond onboarding?
Yeah, this is like my favorite thing to talk about because, again, going back to community, I think community is a marketer's number one and probably most underutilized asset. When it comes to gamification, your community members who are promoting your business for free or competing to win or achieve certain levels of status, these are your most engaged, active users. And to not utilize these people to move across whatever message is most important at that time, you're missing a huge opportunity. So figuring out a way to reward people who are active in your community or, again, promoting whatever you need to get out is kind of a no-brainer. And through gamification, you can think of creative ways to reward these community members without necessarily huge budgets. And that's something that we've been able to do at Power to Fly, is find unique ways that underrepresented talent feel really connected to the brand without necessarily having to spend a ton of budget. And that's, rewarding them for attending events, sharing events with their communities, reaching out to other communities, and then tracking these efforts internally, and then offering certain tiers of Power to Fly status, if you may, as they progress along the journey. So as a marketer, these are my favorite people to work with because we're all winning. They're leveling up their careers, and then we're getting the exposure that we need to take the brand to the next level.
Yeah, so many good points there. I think the cross-domain gamification thing is something that is still, even people doing gamification at the basic level, point reputation systems, leaderboards, but driving activities across multiple domains, because in the reality, your companies, you're going to have multiple sites and product or tools, and you might be wanting to drive activity or adoption for other things. And connecting your gamification, like register for an event, get a badge, and these type of things, I think are super powerful. So Karina, so what about you about marketing, and how do you view marketing and gamification, or how do you think people can leverage it to make a kind of an impact?
So, two aspects here. One is making sure that you are authentic in the objectives that you set, like making sure that you start with really well-defined objectives, and then you put the layer of gamification and reward connected to those objectives. So that's the first, because there can be many amazing things, rewards, tactics to put in place, gamification mechanisms. But if they are not driving what you need, what the community members or your users need, I think you are just creating a nice play for them, and that's all. Yeah? You are wasting a bit their potential and your potential as a brand and your mission. So that's the first thing. The good thing, the juicy thing with gamification is that like the playground of marketing is there to bring that joy, bring that spark. And while doing that and while achieving those serious objectives, authentic objectives that I mentioned, you also bring something else. You let them play, you let them be a bit more relaxed, a bit more informal, play a bit and get that small reward. So I think there is this, gamification is a serious game, a serious tactic in the end, that you let yourself to play a bit with it. And that's something that I find valuable, something that we do a lot and that we trust our communities, that we don't believe in one single way. Like you need to go through this and this and this and that, and in the end you win. Like I'm more the fan of building a playground to make sure that they choose and that you play on their strength all the time. Like someone who is really good in creating content, you give awards, you help them become better in that direction and get the rewards. But someone else who is better in, I don't know, giving support or running events or doing something else for the community, mentoring others, you reward them the same that you reward the other, or they feel that they belong to the same thing. So these are some of the things that I see in practice and how we build.
Yeah, no, I think you got to think about you said in the beginning about your strategy around your gamification, and really what are the levels, what are the names, what are the outcomes, and tying those to what your overall goals of your program is, right? I think if you're just doing gamification for gamification's sake, you get some level, get some gain out of it. But I think if you really start thinking about it, one of the underutilized thing I think is people not thinking about the badges and just throwing random like little things up there. You can't even read what it is. Like people like their badges. I don't know what it is. People like that badge. Even going all the way back to the days when people were getting like Microsoft certified or VMware certified. They wanted to put that on their profile. They want to put that on that badge. So it goes a long way to developing your advocacy program as well too, right? You know, people that are getting these high level badges, it's like those are recruits for advocacy right there every time. For me, I'm like, oh, this guy is super active and engaged. So the question I wanted to get into also is, so gamification, people think, okay, it's a game. What do you win? What are your guys' views about compensation or prizes, or is it just about recognition, the badge, the point? Or should companies be looking at swag or shirts or compensation? Consumer companies go so far as to have brand loyalty programs that compensate them based on how many link backs they get to the website, right? So that's very commonplace in almost all consumer products nowadays, with social media influencers. What are your views, Lauren, about what should we give them? Or do we have to? Or is it the badge enough? What do you think?
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts. And I think the answer is there's no correct answer. This is a horrible answer, but we test this all the time. We are constantly, even from dollar amounts. So we do a referral program, kind of like we talked about, where someone will refer an event to a community and they get, a percentage back, or we tested giving coffee gift certificates, and we tested the amounts, and contrary to what we thought, people were actually more receptive at the lower dollar limit than they were at the higher dollar limit. So this was great for me as a marketer holding the budget, but it was also like, why? Let's dig into the reasoning behind our community. And especially for us, a mission-driven company, what we have found through our own consumer research is our community is way more invested in the give back or the level up. So how can we provide a reward for our community members that is equivalent to success in their brain? So I guess, just to quickly answer the question, I think this answer involves each of you taking a step back and doing a little more research on what your community wants. Because as you said, John, we can all slap a badge on our profile and it'll be great, or say the profile is complete, but what does that actually mean? And why do I actually care about it? If I don't care about it, then I'm not going to be motivated to take any action. So it's worth investing in A/B testing, in spending a little bit to just get information and then taking the strategy from there. But I truly do not think that we could just put a dollar amount and just expect people want money out of something, because they really don't.
Yeah, I agree. They don't necessarily want money. I think one of my most popular things that I gave away was free training hours. Our company had an education and training wing where you actually had to pay for credits to go take classes. So we would give so many credits away, and we would give free training session, and then did some other gamification and events, point contests where they had to do specific. So that's the other thing with gamification. I think you have long-term gamification, and then you have point, event type of things. You're trying, okay, for this week, you do these points and you're going to get a prize, you get something. We did a gamification event, and it was the winner got a one-on-one with our founder of the company. Right. And so, this guy's like a billionaire, right? So it's not like you don't get to talk to this guy all the time, but you're getting a one-on-one with him for 45 minutes. It's
time is the most priceless thing that we have. So what's a better prize than time with someone, truthfully?
Totally. So Karina, what do you think is an appropriate compensation or prizing to go along with gamification? Do you think people need to be budgeting money? Or do you think you can just do it all with badges and hugs?
For sure, there should be a budget around, but it doesn't mean that it needs to be a lot or to consider it too much. I think it's important where they are in the journey. So to give diversity and to ensure that you give what is needed. So in the first steps, maybe it's about getting discounts to certification, training hours. Then it gets into mentoring, so getting mentored from someone else. The t-shirts, the branded swag and all that, it's important as well. But then in time, you give trust. So them being the ones who represent your brand, who represent the community, it's the next level that they want. They want belonging, they want identity. So they want you to be with them. They want them to be part of your company as well. So depending where they are, these are quite important. The next level of it is that we also gave them, and we have example, we gave them that much trust that we told them these are vouchers. This is a pack of swag for you to give back in your community, and that was amazing because they started to be super creative, or to build with the others in the network to say, hey, let's do this together. And we were not thinking of everything back then, and we realized that in 24 hours they were there doing more than just, hey, I have this t-shirt, who wants it, I will give it to you. So they started to put a definition of the love that they have for the brand, and to ask for people with the same values like them, people who appreciate the brand the same like them, to get it. So it was really, really nice to see that giving them trust can be so much about creativity and so much about building and being a voice for the others. Like, we did the first step, trust them and give them that, and then they took it from there. So there are different layers in different moments. I think you don't do this with someone that is not in your community yet and is not yet invested. You do it in different stages, and it's really worth it. So giving, I don't know, 5 t-shirts to just one and trusting them that they will do the best with those, it's important.
It's great setting those spot and those bulk gifts. I think one of my earlier lessons when I first, like 15 years ago, I was at Electronic Arts and working around the Sims product, and we're like, hey, we treated like our biggest evangelists, the biggest concert creators, community people, kind of like reporters, right? And we had the same mentality of like reporters, and every year we would have like an evangelist day, or actually multiple days, where we flew them to the headquarters, we put them up in a hotel, like the shuttle picked them up, they go to the EA headquarters. It's very impressive when you walk in, 100-foot screens, video games everywhere. And then, but they get to spend like a day with like the development team, and like the designer, and like the community manager, and they leave with like a whole bunch of stuff with them when they're walking out the door. And then they'd meet with our QA team, and they'd meet with our product manager, and we'd get really good feedback from them, candid feedback that you would pay for any day of the week to get this. This guy's a power user. He uses your product more than anybody else, and he's giving you one-on-one candid feedback, and you're able to ask him right on the spot. We would get something out of them, and then we would give them enough information not to give everything away, but they would go back out into the community, and they would take those pictures, and they would have those conversations, and here's what I learned, and they're blogging, they're on YouTube. It's so think about how you can leverage your advocacy in conjunction with gamification. That's one of my biggest takeaways from this, for sure. So I'm not sure how much more time we have, so I think we're over, or we're right at 25 minutes. So, gosh, how are we on time?
And that's about all the time we had.
Great. Okay. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for joining us and talking about gamification. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Karina. It was great talking with you today. And thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. Well, that really was amazing, guys. Customers can be deterred by aggressive selling and advertising as a way to gain their business. So using gamified techniques in your marketing, as you rightly said, is not only a fun way to attract customers, but it builds a better relationship with them in the long run. And like you said, John, right in the beginning, for people who don't have gamification in their strategy, we'll probably now add it. So yeah, we'll play. Right. All right. So thank you, Karina, Lauren, and John for these incredible insights. Now let's go back to the lounge and join our next fireside chat titled Hybrid Events. Take your event marketing game up a notch. See you guys.